Hi guys, before we begin, the store links and the description of the system setup that I was using during my listening tests can be found in the video description below. And today we'll be taking a look at Aiyima A70 Mono, two monobook amplifiers that I finally found the time to do a proper listening session. And as you may remember, I closely followed D-Class development, and I got these two a month or two ago to see how do they compare to regular stereo Aiyima A70 and what sound quality will you get for roughly $300, because each one of them costs about $160. So it's 320 for both of them, and that's a good idea to hunt for sales and coupons when you'll be buying them. Okay, now to the specification. These amplifiers, let's just take one. These amplifiers are based on Texas Instruments TPA 3255 chipset, which is quite popular nowadays. And they are using PFFB technology, so basically that's a feedback loop that is used to lower distortions and load dependency when using these amplifiers with speakers with very low or very high impedance. Okay, it's working, as I've tested in Aiyima A70 Stereo last time. So yes, it gets sound quality to be a little better. As for the power output, each one of them, each amplifier is supposed to deliver 300 watts into 4 ohms from included 48 volts and 5 amperes power supply. Additional goodie here is that you can replace operational amplifiers inside, and it has some very nice numbers for total harmonic distortion. It's 0.001%, and that's quite nice. And signal to noise ratio for XLR input is equal or higher than 116 decibels, and that's very, very good. The interesting thing here is that this amplifier can be used as a mono amplifier, full frequency range mono amplifier, or it can be switched to subwoofer mode, and in this mode it can be used as an amplifier to drive your passive subwoofers. The passive subwoofers went out of fashion quite long ago, but you can still get them second-hand with very good prices, and for some very well-known and established brands that were producing these subwoofers these years ago. So all in all, this may be a good idea to get one for purpose like that. Okay, now let's get to the build. Each one of them comes with power brick. It's a new type GAN adapter, and as I've said earlier, it's able to output 48 volts and 5 amperes. These are smaller than previously used by Aiyima, the power supplies previously used by Aiyima, and they are supposed to be also more energy efficient. So let's get to the amplifier here. In the front we have power on switch, which doubles as an auto power on mode, because this amplifier has 12 volts trigger, so when you push it into auto mode, it will be able to switch this amplifier and switch off this amplifier with trigger signal. We have two volume knobs. One of them is used only when this amplifier works in subwoofer mode, and the second one is used for volume control in both modes. In regular full range amplifier mode, it will be setting your speaker volume, and for subwoofer mode it will be changing your subwoofer volume. And on the right hand side we have a selector switch for choosing the input, XLR or RCA input. At the bottom of the device we have switch for selecting operation mode. We can choose subwoofer or full range. As you can see, I've been using them and testing them as a full range amplifiers. Venting holes on the sides, and on the back we have XLR input, RCA input, selector switch for adding 6 decibels gain to RCA input. We have subwoofer output for powered subwoofers. When this amplifier will be used in full frequency range mode, we can still attach a subwoofer here, active subwoofer, and we can choose the cutoff frequency for active subwoofer here. And here's the input for 12 volts trigger and speaker tabs and your power source input. As you can see, it accepts anything between 24 and 48 volts. The speaker tabs are quite nice. They are not as small as in many of pocket, let's say pocket D-class amplifiers, but they are also not as big as in regular amps. Okay, is there anything else about the build here? No, not really. Okay, so let's pick the other one, because this one is disassembled. How can you open it up and how can you replace the opamps? You need to unscrew the 4 hex nuts that are in the corners of the back plate, and you need to remove the front knobs. You can just pull them out, and underneath here you'll have hex nuts that need to be undone on both pots in order to be able to do something like that. We are removing the front plate, and now we can slide out the internal parts of the amplifier. Starting from the back, we have quite large heatsink that's touching, and actually I forgot about that. In order to disassemble the amplifier, you also need to remove 2 hex bolts that are on the bottom. So this heatsink is screwed to the chassis, and chassis also works as a heatsink. And when I was using both of them, I've measured the temperature to be in around maximum 40 degrees centigrade. So they are warm to the touch, and it's quite solid and heavy block of metal here. What's interesting here is good quality capacitors. These are capacitors for power, and these are Rubicons rated 63 volts, and each one of them is 3300 microfarads. So all in all, for one channel we get 6600 microfarads, which is quite nice. The small guys here, all of the black ones, are also Rubicons, and we have a couple of gold Nichicons here and there. And we also have an operational amplifier that can be replaced. This is in stock. It's NE5532P, so you can replace that with any other double operational amplifier. And what's interesting here, the last thing that I wanted to show you, is we have this small guy here. As you can see, it's also an N5332 operational amplifier, and I'm talking about that one because if you trace the tracks on the PCB, it goes to the XLR input. So I guess it's for making balance input single-ended, and that would mean that internally the 3255 that's underneath here is operating in single-ended mode. Because if you read the white papers for that Texas Instruments integrated amplifier, you'll see that you can configure it to be working either as fully balanced internally or in single-ended. So I guess that having this one here means that internally it's working in single-ended mode. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if you know more about that. Write that in the comments. We have a relay here, and that's basically it. And yeah, and a couple of German Vima capacitors between the coils there. So all in all, it's okay inside. Now, when you'll be assembling that, you'll just sliding this inside, and what I wanted to show you is that, yeah, like that. There's quite little space inside, which means that, for example, if we'd like to have staccatos here, not really possible. If we'd like to have LC5s here, still not really possible. We could go for LC2s, not really. And the smallest class A's that I have are Bursons, yeah, V7s, and not really. I mean, if I'll put it on the PCB, it'll be okay, but it won't be on the PCB. It'll be about 1 mm higher in the socket, and when it's placed in the socket, you cannot slide it back. So this means that you should either use something like Burson's V5E, which are quite small. I don't know about Sparkos, because Sparkos are horizontal, but then you have these two Nichicon caps here, so maybe, but I don't know. I need to get my hands on Sparkos to check that. My recommended operational amplifiers for that Aiyima amplifier would be Texas Instruments OPA 627 or OPA 828. The first one will have slightly more organic sound with, let's call it, slightly V-shaped characteristic. When you're looking at the white papers, it is completely flat, but my ears tell me that 627 has a very nice organic bass. And you can go for OPA 828, and it's let's say it's a top of the line precision operational amplifier, and that's like crystal clean magnifying glass. It's completely flat. It's full of detail, full of small nuances for imaging. So this one would be also a good choice for that amplifier. Yeah, so that was all about the build quality. Now let's move to the sound quality, and let's move that out of the way, and let's place this one in here. Yep. Let's do that, so it will be looking nicer as a background. Yeah. Okay, so bass is very tight and precise with great control and extension, which is a usual trait for TPA based amplifiers. It's very easy and natural to follow bass lines, for example in Topsy by Dick Hyman. Bass, when using two of them, bass easily fills the room and creates very good foundation for everything else on top of that. Although precise, the bass is not very organic unless you'll get OPA 627 inside. And just because I have it handy, yeah, that's a mess of my operational amplifiers, and I should have OPA somewhere in here. Oh, I've left it outside. Okay, but it doesn't really matter. Now, moving on to the mid-range. Again, it's a similar thing for all Class D based on TPA 3250-55. The mid-range is detailed. With stock operational amplifier can sound grainy at times. With stock 55-32, you can hear that some vocals are a little bit grainy. but that changes if you use OPA627 internally, or if you use tube preamp for these amplifiers. Female vocals, in my opinion, are slightly better than male vocals, though both sound a little bit dry. Again, with stock op-amp, with OPA627, it's better. Treble. Treble is airy and detailed, sometimes, not often, can sound a little dry. I heard that on a couple of tracks. Again, with changing op-amp to OPA627, it gets better, it gets smoother with slightly better extension. I'm saying dry, and I hope you know what I mean. It's very hard to describe some of the sound qualities with other words. The treble is transparent and open and has a lot of tiny details for string instruments. It's, in my opinion, especially with OPA627, it's clearer and more transparent than in Aiyima A70 Stereo. Because one of the reasons I got these two was to check how do these compare, how two A70 Monos compare to one A70 Stereo. And they are clearer and more open in treble region. Okay, moving to detail. Good detail, but some things get lost in complicated passages. All in all, most of the TPAs, TPA 5255 based amplifiers have good detail. Same goes for this one. But in complicated passages, some of the detail can be lost. But when there is less going on, you'll get all the small things, small nuances, small stuff like movement of the fingers on the guitar strings, which is a very nice thing. And by complicated passages, I mean some more complicated orchestral pieces. So it's not something that you're likely to notice unless you'll be looking for it specifically. Okay, scene and imaging. Very good separation, great and precise layering. These amplifiers easily build that wall of sound around you. If you have speakers positioned well, these two have no problems in creating one continuous wall of sound spanning from left to right with very good layering. Very good ambience and positioning. You are able to clearly point the location of the instruments, and you can hear the ambience sounds. For example, you can discern when the recording was made in a smaller room or in a large hall. So that's something very nice and something that I like very much. Imaging is one of the best qualities for this set of amplifiers. It has very good three-dimensional holographic sound in all dimensions. Left to right, depth information and height information are easily heard with these two amplifiers. So moving on to loose thoughts. In stock configuration with NE5532 operational amplifier, these can err a little on the too precise side versus musicality. By too precise, I mean the sound can be a little bit dry, although 5532 is not the detail jump in my opinion. It removes some of the transparency that otherwise would be possible with other operational amplifiers. So I strongly recommend to change op-amps here to OPA627, because you'll get that extra bit of transparency and detail, and at the same time they will not sound as dry as with stock operational amplifiers. Yeah. One more thing that I've noted here is that although it has no hiss, even with maximum volume, and even if I place my ear next to the speaker, there is no hiss whatsoever. Even with that, I had a feeling, I felt like the background is not exactly completely black. There was no noise, there was no hiss, but I thought I've heard it's not as black as with some other amplifiers, but still it's better than with A70 Mono. Okay, and one of the positives that did not match the other parts of the review was that it's effortless when it comes to dynamic and sudden volume changes. It's probably because of the superb power reserves, but when you have a large sudden orchestral swing, when the volume changes from silent to very loud in a blink of an eye, this amplifier will follow that very easily. Okay, 3 things I liked and 3 things I disliked about that amplifier. What I liked: sound quality, design. I really like the look of it. I know it's highly subjective, but I really like the look of it. And the third one is not very obvious, but you have a subwoofer output here for active subwoofer, and this is mono amplifier, which means that with 2 of them you can have 2 subwoofers, each one dedicated to each channel, and that's something very good, very uncommon, and very useful. What I didn't like about that amplifier is that with stock it comes with NE5332. That was the first one. The second one was that the 5552 here is probably used to make input signal from change input signal from balanced to FCA, to single-ended, and I'm not very happy about that. And the last thing, well, this is mono amplifier, and Aiyima says that one of the usages for that one would be building high-quality home cinema system, which is a nice idea, because I can easily tell you that, for example, 5 of them will sound better than, let's say, 99% of the audio-video receivers. But the problem is that since each one of them is about $160, the price will ramp up very quickly, because for 5.1 system, assuming that the subwoofer will be active, you would need 5 Aiyima A70 Monos for 5 channels, and that's a lot of money. So what I really didn't like here is that the price is ramping very fast. So my summary: for 2 channels you need 2 of them, and that will set you back a little more than $300, so it's fine. But still try to get them on sale. Try to get them with some coupons, because it can significantly lower the price. And I think there will be another AliExpress sale in December, so maybe that will be a good opportunity to get one of them. Sorry, not one, 2 of them. Always 2 of them. Okay, they sound and they look good, but I would strongly advise you to replace stock NE5532 with OPA627. It's not very obvious, and I haven't mentioned that earlier, but they can not only be used for stereo systems or home cinema systems, but you can also use them for B-amping. You can use 2 of them to B-amp your left speaker and 2 of them to B-amp your right speaker. So this may be an interesting scenario for some of you guys, because you would be able to use them in connection with active crossover, and in something like that they may be quite excellent option. And in that kind of configuration the price tag can be actually quite low, because systems that are working with active crossovers tend to be pricey. Yeah, but you need to remember that for beamping 2 speakers, you'd need 4 of them. And again, that can be expensive. Okay, all in all, I like them for the sound quality, I like them for imaging, but for interesting applications like 5.1 or 7.1 systems or beamping, the price ramps up very quickly. But they sound good. They are small, they sound good. If this review helped you or to decide whenever you should or should not buy them, you're more than welcome to support my channel by buying me a beer using Super Thanks on YouTube. And I hope you liked that video. Again, store links are in the description. The system setup that I've used for my sound tests is also described in the description of the video. And that's it. I hope you'll have a great day, and I hope you'll enjoy this little video. Bye guys, see you next time.